a couple things about vitamin C. First of all, it's incredibly important, as we said last week, right? It's important for reasons that no other ingredient can touch, save perhaps the retinoids, which makes those two on the A list. And so using it is something that if you're interested in having healthy skin, you use vitamin C. There's no question about it. Now the only issue becomes what kind of vitamin C? Because there's all these different kinds of vitamin C's, and what's worse, there's all these vitamin C products, okay? Well, first of all, you want to be very careful about buying a vitamin C product in a supermarket or a vitamin store or someplace that doesn't understand the skin specifically. If they're just selling products in their HBA section, you know, they call it HBA, caveat emptor. Remember that? Caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. Let the buyer beware, I shall say no more. Yeah. Okay, so there's a few different kinds of vitamin C. The trick with skincare ingredients, and this is what I was talking about earlier, and this is where pharmacy comes in, is the molecule, the shape of the molecule impacts how effective it's going to be. So vitamin C is ascorbic acid. That's what vitamin C is, okay? But ascorbic acid can be modified in many ways to make it more or less effective. Usually more effective is how they do it. The baseline is ascorbic acid. I don't know if you could see this. Can you see this?
I can.
Okay, so this is like a powder. This is like a powder. Let me see if I could do this here.
Now I've tried to spray the powder on my face before.
Doesn't work very well.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't work very well. Now here's the deal. This is the cheap stuff. Okay. This costs like $10 a kilo.
Okay.
You know, not even. If you buy in bulk, you can even get it cheaper. And most of these people are buying it in ridiculous bulk. So you're talking about ridiculously cheap. And this, of course, is the kind you'll find in your supermarket products and unfortunately even high-end products. The problem with this is ascorbic acid is what it's called, and that's the baseline. It's very unstable. Very unstable. It turns brown in water, it turns brown in the light, it turns brown over time because it's oxidizing. Anytime something is very, very potent, it's going to be very unstable. There's a proportionality between instability and they're directly proportional. Instability and high energy. Ascorbic acid is very high energy and it's very unstable. It's unstable to light, it's unstable to oxygen. You never want your vitamin C in a clear bottle, by the way. Okay. Vitamin C should always be kept in a dark bottle. There's some of the newer vitamin C's you can get away with it. But in any case, this is the cheap stuff. Right. Then, just to show you a couple other types.
Sure.
This one's called sodium ascorbyl phosphate. Now this one's interesting because it's alkaline. Vitamin C is an acid. Sodium ascorbyl phosphate is alkaline. So the question is, how effective is an alkaline vitamin C going to be? And you know, I don't know how effective it's going to be, although there is some good literature on it. I will say that. But sodium ascorbyl phosphate is also a powder, and it's alkaline.
All right.
Ascorbic acid is acid. It'll tingle or it'll sting a little bit, and you could use it actually if you make it fresh. It's similar to an alpha hydroxy acid, and it makes a great exfoliator. Liquid vitamin C used fresh.
Okay.
Put it in water and make your own little mister, make your own little toner, but you got to use it fresh.
Every time, fresh would be best.
Fresh, only fresh.
Okay.
You don't want to put oxidized stuff. Okay. And you'll know, if you want to do an experiment, leave it in a clear bottle and you'll see it. It turns from very, very imperceptible yellow, more yellow, more yellow, more yellow, dark yellow. It goes all the way into dark brown. It goes all the way into black eventually.
Oh,
you get
wow.
black. It's black. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Oh,
black.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the chemical effect of chemical analog of burning a log. You know how log turns black? That's exactly what happens. Okay. Fire oxidizes, basically. And this one's in a really interesting form. See if you can see that. This is liquid vitamin C. Yeah, look at that.
So that's
like an oil vitamin C.
Okay, an oil.
And this is one of the things that, I have another kind of vitamin C I should show you. I should show you one more. Can we?
And I wish I could say like, oh, put some there and then
right
here.
Oh, yeah. You want to see another one?
That'd be great. So that was the oil one.
This is my favorite form of vitamin C. It's very tricky to work with, but it creates a really nice product, super nice product. Love this one. This one's called ascorbyl palmitate. You've probably seen this. Have you seen ascorbyl palmitate? I don't know if you can see it.
Ascorbyl palmitate. That's a white powder.
It's a very white powder. I don't know if you can see it. I should show it in a spoon somehow. But anyway, it's a really, really nice. It's a fine powder. And the key to the vitamin C molecule is this. The skin is a raincoat. Remember, it's a barrier.
Yeah.
It keeps water in, keeps water out. Now, when we say water, we don't just mean water. We mean things that dissolve in water. So anything that dissolves in water is going to have a harder time getting through the skin. We call it water soluble. You probably heard that term, water soluble, right? That's stuff that dissolves in water. So like if I tell you, well, put it this way. There's things that dissolve in water. There's things that dissolve in oil. It's a major polarity in chemistry, a major duality in chemistry. So, for example, if I were to tell you salt, would you say that's water soluble or oil soluble?
Well, I know it dissolves in water.
So obviously, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Correct. If I were to say to you margarine, oil soluble or water soluble?
Oil soluble.
You see where I'm going here? Some things dissolve in oil, some things dissolve in water. Okay. So the vitamin C molecule is inherently watery. It's water soluble. It's incredibly, actually, it's very, very water soluble. It goes right into water. The problem is the skin is a barrier to those types of things, those types of molecules. Vitamin C is a water soluble vitamin, but it does its work in the lower levels. It does its work in the levels that are living and moving. Okay. See, as the skin cells, remember, as the skin cells are rising up, they're becoming more and more dead. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. So what vitamin C is important is in growing things, moving things, making things happen, supporting protection, helping things be alive, helping support the life force. It doesn't really do its job on the stratum corneum. It does its job on the lower levels. But the trick is you got to get it there. Yeah. Right? Now, you'll get a little bit if you use water soluble, and if you're clever with your formulation, maybe, if you have a high enough concentration, and that's another important criteria. Not only does the molecule have to be just so, but you also have to have the right concentration. So you can play with it a little with ascorbic acid, but not to a great extent. In order to get ascorbic acid past that barrier, it has to be tweaked and made more fatty. And there's different ways to do it. So, for example, ascorbyl palmitate, the one I said that I liked so much, that's tweaked with palmitate. Palmitate is a common chemical tweak. You've heard of retinoyl palmitate probably. There's isopropyl palmitate. Palmitate is a type of chemical. They call it an ester, but what it really means is it's got a special kind of connection, a special kind of linkage with another molecule, and so it's used as to change the quality of another molecule. It makes it more fatty. Palmitate makes more, it's like a fat adapter. It makes molecules more fatty. So anything that you stick a palmitate on is going to be fatty. It's going to penetrate better. Palmitate, when you see a palmitate type of structure, a palmitate on an ingredient deck, that is going to have very good penetrating ability. Palmitates help with penetration through the surface. They're very fatty, and you can stick them on a watery molecule that ordinarily wouldn't make it through, and it becomes sort of piggybacked in. Okay. It kind of gets carried in. So by sticking palmitate onto things, you can make them more, you can make a water-soluble material more fat-soluble, and ascorbyl palmitate is just that. It's ascorbic acid plus palmitate. Palmitate pulls it in effect, because the palmitate's fatty. Palmitate is a very interesting structure. There's palmitate in your digestive system that helps carry vitamin A around. The body uses palmitates a lot. We use palmitates. There's palmitates in your skin. Palmitic acid is a very important fatty acid for the skin. There's another one, you may have heard of omega-7s. Have you heard about omega-7s? You're going to hear about these if you haven't heard about them yet.
I've actually just barely, I've heard very little about it. Very little on omega-7.
That's palmitoleic acid. That's a type of palmitic acid that has got some very interesting skin properties, and not quite yet. The marketplace hasn't caught up to it yet, but you're going to start to see it in products pretty soon. It would probably be in the third tier, maybe the second or third tier. Okay. The third tier probably, a topical palmitoleic. I haven't seen any research on it. I have to think about I don't know how well it'd be utilized by the skin. But in any case, ascorbyl palmitate pulls the ascorbic acid in. There's a really deluxe form that's got 4 palmitates, or it's got multiple palmitates. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. But it's a different type of palmitate structure, and that's really deluxe. And that one is a liquid vitamin C. That's what I showed you before. Okay. That one penetrates very, very effectively, and there's some really good literature. That's my second favorite. I would say it's my favorite, but it's really expensive. It's ridiculously expensive. It's $1,000 a kilo.
Oh, wow.
For that. And compare that to the ascorbic acid, which is like $20 a kilo or something or less, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you don't see that one around very much.
No.
And if you do, you'll see a little speck of it. I put a lot of it in my formulas.
All right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's another kind of vitamin C. There's different forms. What you want to look for with your vitamin C product is fattiness and concentration. Those are the two most fattiness and concentration.
Okay.
You want them fatty and you want them concentrated. Unfortunately, to make fatty vitamin, you can't do that on your own. You can't unless you have the facilities to do it. So it's tricky for people to do that one at home, the fatty vitamin C. They could do fresh vitamin C for a toner, but again, you're not going to get the same effects because you're not going to get very effective penetration. And the real good stuff with vitamin C comes in the lower levels. Vitamin C actually is taken up by cells. This doesn't happen very often in the world of skincare, but you could put topical vitamin C on and it will get taken in to cells that are in the bottom layers of the skin, this area, the beef. Remember the beef? The beef, right? Vitamin C does its work. It does its work throughout, really, but it does a lot of its work in the beef.
Okay.
It helps with the beef. That means it helps beefen the skin. It makes the skin thicker. Topically, you can put it on topically and get changes in skin thickness. There's nothing like that, with the exception of vitamin A, which is more for wrinkles than for thickness.
Okay.
They're both for. I shouldn't say that. They're both going to work with thickness. They're both extremely important, and they're singular. They stand out. They are the A-list of skincare ingredients.
Okay. So the bottom line on vitamin C is if we're going to want the benefits of a topical vitamin C, we really do have to get it in a product. You can't go to your kitchen and get it in food or something.
The good stuff, because it is, the fatty stuff is what you want, and it's very tricky to work with. So a lot of this stuff is stuff that you have to get manufactured. You got to use heat. You got to have sort of equipment to blend everything together. Vitamin C, it doesn't cooperate as the good stuff doesn't cooperate. You can get the ascorbic acid stuff maybe and make your own little toner, but if you really want to do it correctly, you got to have the wherewithal to be able to work with fatty vitamin C. But there's little tricks that you could do at home. For example, there's something called a liposome. A liposome is if you look at it under an electron microscope, it would be a bubble, a circle, that has fatty stuff on the outside and has a watery core. And the fact that it has a fatty kind of covering allows it to sneak in and then release its cargo, if you will, like a Trojan horse. Okay? So that a liposome helps pull water-soluble material through. The body uses liposomes to carry water-soluble material through the body. So liposomes are a very fundamental chemical structure, chemical structure in nature. You can make your own liposomes. The standard active ingredient in a liposome is lecithin. Oh. Lecithin works, and you've heard us talk about lecithin on the radio for nutrition. Lecithin works because it has an ability to, it has a watery side and a fatty side. Remember how we said that some things are watery, some things are fatty? Yep. Well, lecithin has a watery side and a fatty side. And that gives it some very, very, very interesting properties. It allows it, for one thing, to act as an emulsifier, to pull oil and water together. Okay. It's nature's very own emulsifier. Wherever nature needs to have an emulsifier, in biology anyway, it has some kind of lecithin-like substance. Lecithin is found throughout your body. It's a fundamental structure. It's just an elegant chemical molecule that has a watery side, a fatty side, and it pulls everything together. Well, when you do it in skincare, when you mix a watery material with lecithin in skincare, if you mix it correctly, you can create little circles that encircle your active material, creating a little bubble with your active material in the inside. Because lecithin has a tendency to want to connect with each other. Like attracts like, we say in biochemistry. So lecithin, because it has a watery side and a fatty side, will hook up with the fatty side will hook up with the watery side, and then it will have a tendency to kind of curl around and create a bubble. And that's called a liposome. And so by mixing your vitamin C with lecithin and stirring it around and heating it, you can create your own liposome and improve the penetration of the vitamin C into your skin. And that's kind of like a home kitchen way, a kitchen version of doing what's done in the lab. Now, lecithin, you're going to want lecithin liquid, and lecithin's very sticky, so you're going to want to heat it up before you apply it. Okay. Or you can apply small amounts. That's another thing you could do, and mix it into your cream. Mix some lecithin with vitamin C, and then stir it into your favorite cream, and that'll be a good way to drive in vitamin C, duplicating what's done in an industrial way in your kitchen. So
could you say you could take a little capsule of the vitamin A, a little capsule of the D, a little capsule of the mixed E's, a little
Now,
bit
if you
of...
mix, yes, a little bit of lecithin.
Yes,
a little bit of lecithin.
And a little bit of your vitamin C.
A little, exactly.
And
exactly.
then you could, because I'm doing
yes.
that daily. I'm making a fresh batch daily.
Fresh batch of vitamin A.
Yep.
You can use ascorbic acid, okay? And that's pretty much all you can find. Although, you know what you could do?
What?
Go get yourself these things called mineral ascorbates. Ester C. Have you seen Ester C?
I've seen Ester C.
Ester C is vitamin C hooked up to calcium, hooked up to zinc, hooked up to magnesium. Now, it's still going to be hydrophilic, water soluble, but you're going to get the benefit of magnesium, you're going to get the benefit of zinc, you're going to get the benefit of calcium, and all of these trace minerals may enhance the activity or at least provide their own nutritional value when you mix them up with your liposome. So instead of straight ascorbic acid, get they're called mineral ascorbates. You can get them generically now, probably.
Okay.
But there used to be a company called Ester C. Do you remember that company, Ester C?
I've seen it around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ester C is mineral ascorbates, they call them. So instead of ascorbic acid, it's got calcium ascorbate, potassium ascorbate, I think there's zinc ascorbate, there's magnesium ascorbate. So you get all these minerals in addition to the ascorbics.
Okay.
And they all work together. The minerals help the ascorbial work, and the ascorbial helps the mineral work.
Well, there you have it. That's
there you go.
a really good home do-it-yourself in the meantime. So,
yes, in the meantime. It's not perfect.
Okay.
But
it's better than nothing.
Again, you want to put as little as you have to. And that's what nutrient density does for you. That's what a product that's expensive to make does for you. And that's why you don't see them. Because to do it correctly, you need nutrient density, and you shouldn't be having to slather a whole bunch of stuff on your skin. If you have to slather on your skin, then what's it telling you? It's 70% water, 80% water, 10% wax, 5% oil, 4% excipient and filler and preservative, 1% if that, anything, maybe 2. You know?
Wow, okay. Well, thank you. I think you've left us with a lot of information. And for those of us who love to go into the kitchen and make our own beauty products, this is going to be a really neat project.
Okay, good deal.
Well, thank you so much, Ben. And we will be talking soon again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good to talk. Bye. Liposome is it's a bubble, a biochemical bubble that carries, do you hear that?
What is that? It's like a toad.
That's my pet toad.
Okay.
That's my pet toad. How did you know? Oh my God.